So, folks, we gotta talk about the fact that Donald Trump has backed himself into a corner with Iran, which is, I've quoted this in my previous Iran segments, but when you invade a country and you have unclear war goals that seem to include overthrowing their government, well, there are a couple things that are at issue. Number one, you have to have boots on the ground. Number two, if you want to see regime change, you have to have boots on the ground. Okay?
Send Baron.
Send Baron. Yeah, the draft Baron movement is gaining some steam, I hear. But the other thing, Sake Tanuki.
Iran-Contra was super tough. One hit kills and no continues.
Yeah, the Konami code didn't even do anything. Also, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. But number one, if you want to actually have regime change, you have to have boots on the ground to affect that. And number two, if you are just doing an air campaign, you're only going to harden the resolve of the people who are there in the place that is being bombed. No one is going to want to do mass demonstration or trust the US government that is striking the country alongside Israel, especially in Iran, when they're just striking anything that seems remotely to be a military target, which would include groups of armed people moving on the ground, presumably. So we have all of that going on. And the fact of the matter is that Iran has a couple of different cards to play. And one of the biggest is the fact that they get to decide when this conflict ends now, right? And by that, I mean, we talked a little bit last time about how they have begun mining the Strait of Hormuz, that we've talked a little bit about how they retain control over the Strait of Hormuz. And we have also talked a little bit about how the United States, for all of the shock and awe explosions that we've seen, is not actually succeeding in destroying a meaningful number of targets across Iran. At least not so far as it has damaged their capacity to launch missiles or shoot artillery or rockets, etc. And Iran is maintaining that operational integrity, as well as their bureaucratic integrity. There's a very clear, still, kind of people moving into positions of authority now that their leadership has been killed, etc. Apparently, Karg Island just got hit. I mean, it's gonna get a lot worse here because there is no exit strategy for Donald Trump. Donald Trump went into this thinking that it was going to be Venezuela and is now finding out rapidly that that is not, in fact, going to be the case. That being said, that isn't preventing his comms team from putting out videos that are literally treating what is happening right now in Iran as a video game. That is an official post from the White House comms on Twitter. You can tell that there is a level of unseriousness about all this because everything in their communications is unserious. Let's compare and contrast that with how, for example, foreign outlets might be covering this, like LCI over in France. Let's take a look at how they're portraying how things are going.
De Donald Trump qui est en train de danser sur YMCA pendant que le Golfe Persique flambe avec le cours du pétrole d'ailleurs pour filer la métaphore et les gens qui sont là juste derrière lui c'est ça leur souci, c'est le cours du pétrole de Donald Trump qui...
Yeah, so in case you're wondering what's going on there, those are oil tankers being hit by Iran in the Strait of Hormuz area. And meanwhile, at the same time that was happening and being reported on, Donald Trump was holding a rally where he's dancing. You know? That, like, it's literally Nero fiddling while Rome burns, you know? In a sense, right? Because what Iran is attacking here is not the United States per se, but the economic supply chain the United States relies on.
Continues to amaze me in all the worst, most evil, abhorrent, ignorant, uneducated, unsanitary, uninformed. I hate all of this.
Yep. It is awful. And remember how we just finished talking about how AI is seeking to make people dumber and, like, you know, I think that there's maybe no better distillation of this than people trying to make sense of the Iran war using ChatGPT and AI and Grok. Here's this guy. Can this be a solution? The Strait of Hormuz can't go up there because Iran's up there. But what if instead we drop off the oil here and then ship it across the land route with trucks to a new pickup point over here? And, like, made with AI, unsurprisingly, on that one. All these guys that use AI to, like, figure stuff out are some of the dumbest people ever. Like, with what trucks? With what trucks are you going to get to replace the operational capacity of a shipping vessel designed to hold oil? Not only that, Iran can strike there. This is not that far away from Iran's striking abilities. If they could be striking stuff up here, they could strike this down here. Yeah, trucks are immune to bombs. But also, I saw people asking, well, why don't they just dig a canal? And it's like, do you think they pull canals out of your ass? Like you just have one on hand? Like it's fucking Sim City over here? You just slap it down on a grid? They're all living in Looney Tunes world. You know? Can we also just take a moment to, like, really reckon with the fact that, like, this is footage of, like, people being killed?
They strike them here, they strike them there, they strike the tankers everywhere.
Well, they do, is the thing. Like, over the past, week or so, a couple weeks, Iran has been systematically targeting and breaking through air defenses around U.S. air defense facilities, i.e. the radars that are keeping and tracking all of these drones and missiles and rockets that are coming in. And it's eroding the United States' ability to actually intercept these projectiles. And that capacity is only going to diminish further and further, right? So I'm not entirely sure what this look at how easy it is. Like, all of this is aged terribly, and they posted some of this stuff, like, yesterday. You know? We are going in a direction that is... There's no break here. Also, Attack on Pony Productions, thank you for the $10 super chat. Went grocery shopping yesterday, it came up to $154.59 for one person. Jesus. Yeah, like, people... in the United States, if you ask a lot of conservatives, a lot of people who voted for Trump, they'll say because we wanted cheaper prices. And, like, this war is directly antithetical to that exact mission statement.
Also, on a personal high-quality edit watcher note, these videos' timing is awful.
Oh,
these
yeah.
cuts only work on a good timing level when the hit being cut from is more telegraphed and cut from just before.
But, like, here's how the United States is responding to it. All right?
Jack, you don't get it. This is a 5D chess game to force Iran to touch our boats so we can use the Marines and U-235 fireworks. Slash joke.
This is so true. Slash joke indeed. But like, it's genuinely terrifying because I don't know how we get out of this.
Conservative brain rot is too strong. I am still trying to convince people that Iran didn't bomb their own schools cause of stuff like this. One of my Facebook friends posted this. What do you think? How W?
Well, I mean, the issue is they're just accepting propaganda at face value, right? They are accepting the narrative from Donald Trump at face value, where Donald Trump is saying like, "Oh, you don't understand. The Iranians bombed their own school with Tomahawk missiles, and Iran doesn't have Tomahawk missiles. They've found Tomahawk missiles in the wreckage. There are pictures of the Tomahawk missile wreckage in the school. Like, there's footage of the bombing run from U.S. forces on the area that the school was in. We have eyewitness accounts. This isn't like a difficult like secret to unravel here. Literally every expert, including, by the way, the U.S. military, put out the results of their investigation, which was, yeah, we did it. So like, the issue that you're running into isn't a lack of evidence that the United States bombed that girls' school in Iran and killed like 175 elementary school girls. The issue is that whoever you're talking to just believes sight unseen anything that Donald Trump says. They are deep inside of the cult. Meanwhile, if you're talking about affordability, I just saw gas prices overnight go up by over 20 cents from yesterday to today. So like, and it's going to get a lot worse in the coming weeks and months, because again, I want to really emphasize here, Iran has also been backed into a corner by Donald Trump and this attack on Iran, right? And their corner and the cards that they are currently dealt and the position they've been put in by the United States is effectively...
It was definitely a false flag attack. Quote from President, I want to kill more kids.
Yes, we never should have voted for President, I want to kill more kids. It's true. His name really should have been a big indicator on that one. But I do want to say that, like, affordability has been shot to shit. The position that Iran has been put in is that effectively they need to reestablish deterrence, right? And previously, deterrence was made up of like, oh, well, they could have a bomb. They could have a nuclear weapon in a handful of weeks if they so chose, right?
Malady, they found Barney the dinosaur in the wreckage. I bet he did it as a cover-up.
We're genuinely one bad brain day, one more absolute soup-brained degeneration away from Trump's brain spitting that out into reality. But what Iran is now doing and has to do is effectively exact a price from the United States. And not just the United States, but the entire world, to show, don't fuck with Iran, right? Which is what they're doing right now. The reason, I've seen a few people from other places around the planet commenting. I saw someone from New Zealand earlier talking about their rising gas prices. And part of the reason Iran is choking off the Strait of Hormuz is because they need to make sure that everyone knows that there is going to be an economic price to pay if you fuck with Iran. And their previous strategy of saying, well, we're close to being able to develop a nuclear weapon if we so chose, and they want to maintain that kind of nebulousness so that they have a deterrent factor in an attack on their country, that failed. And so they need to establish a new deterrent mechanism. And that deterrence is going to be burning oil in the Middle East and blocking oil in the Middle East, as well as natural gas. If you think things are bad right now, keep in mind that Iran is going to maintain this chokehold, not until the United States leaves, but until there are meaningful concessions toward its ability to do this. They need to have some kind of moment where they say, okay, we've punished you all enough for this. We're letting you go. We're going to end this lockdown. And so this is going to be a longer term thing. And I don't know if that's going to be several weeks longer. I don't know if that's going to be a year longer. I don't know. Right?
Dead domain got a bunch of money, so I'm gonna chuck money here. Left is best. When we win, reality TV host presidents who strike random countries don't get elected.
Hell yeah. Brutus Magnuson, thank you for the $50 dono. Very much appreciated.
I would just give Iran a nuke.
Well, okay. Also, I think nuclear proliferation is bad, so any way we can avoid that would be great, I guess. Ideally, we'd all stop proliferating nuclear weapons and, dismantle them systematically until no one has nuclear weapons. But that being said, Iran is definitely going to be seeking out a nuke from here on out in order to maintain their deterrence. But all of that being said, what they're going for right now isn't we're going to build a nuke. It's we're just going to choke off 20% of the world's oil supply and 20% of the world's natural gas supply. And keep in mind, the oil that's coming out of here is very specific. Is it the sour crude? Which one is it? I get them all mixed up. So the issue is, the heavy sour crude or something like that. And they also have a ton of fertilizer that comes through there. So there are countries that depend on this oil getting through in order for their essentially their entire economies to function. Not to mention the fact that, if the fertilizer stops flowing, that is going to impact food prices on top of energy prices going up from the oil. This is basically a huge economic nuke that they are setting off here. What Iran is doing feels like a protest against the US and allies. No, what Iran is doing is a systematic attack on the economic, effectively the economic network of American imperialism. That's what they're doing. They realize that they cannot defeat the United States head on, but what they can do is choke off a significant amount of material that comes out of that area of the world in order to exact a price that will actually reverberate here in America, which is an economic price, right? They have no need to launch a drone attack on the American mainland when what they can do is simply make prices go way up. And people in America will remember that. Okay, if nothing else, here in America, we have long memories for economic crises. That, in turn, will exact a price from Trump, from everyone in the American leadership at the moment, and will also deter the American public from enabling war-hungry madmen from doing this again in the future. Right? And so we are in a weird point right now where Iran has effectively used its economic weapon here. And what it now comes down to is how long are they going to be able to hold that deterrent factor over ships going through the Strait of Hormuz? All right. Also, what's Donald Trump talking about these days when it comes to Iran?
Years that way.
And if they try to hit us back, have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now?
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think.
Is it dozens?
They came in through the open border policies of Sleepy Joe Biden, one of the worst president in the history of our country. And we've got our eyes on all of them. But the war itself is being prosecuted at a level that nobody's seen before. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, so just to be clear, you have ICE agents going after American citizens and shooting people in the street and going after abuelas going to the supermarket. But you don't have ICE agents for the known Iranian sleeper cells that you know where they all are. You're aware of them. You know where they all are, but you're just gonna let them chill for a little bit, okay? You've become weirdly invested in their the lives of their fronts and are just like watching them like a sitcom. God, it's so stupid. Yeah, the FBI, the CIA, and ICE all watching these people being like, hold on a minute, this is about to get good. We're getting to one of my favorite parts.
SMH.
God.
He could have called him Sleeper Cell Joe Biden. His brain really is cold soup. Coup, if you will.
I mean, it really is soup in that way too, but like, just every single excuse, every single thing that comes out of this guy's mouth is just absolutely insane. Every single day. And people keep going along with it. Here we have just, this is from 2 days ago, right? This is from 2 days ago. Donald Trump saying, nothing wrong with the Strait of Hormuz. People need to use it.
You talk to the CEOs of various oil companies, encouraging them to use the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, I think they should. I think they should. I think they should use the Strait. In my opinion, look, we took out just about all of their mine ships in one night. We're up to boat number 60. I didn't realize they had that big a navy.
Maybe that would have been something to consider before you attacked their country. Maybe several different things in this equation should have been considered before you did the thing that you did.
I would say it was big and ineffective, but every one of their ships, just about all of their navy is gone at the bottom of the sea.
Also, he's been saying just about all their navy is gone at the bottom of the sea, like this entire time. Then we have to look at exactly what happened within... you know what? Actually, there's a great little animated graphic here. Let's just take a look at this animated graphic, huh? This is put together by the New York Times. It starts on March 1st and shows traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. Let's take a little look at it, shall we? This was published yesterday. Oh, look at that. Oh, 5 ships attacked by March 2nd, 7, March 4th, 8, 9, 10, or we're at 9, sorry. 10, 11, 12, 13, 16 ships. By the end of this cycle, we're at 16 strikes on oil shipments out of this area of the world. Which is why, by the way, CEOs aren't too keen to send their ships through the Strait of Hormuz at this point in time. Because it turns out that's getting your ships blown up. As a Navy veteran, fuck this, right? Also, all these companies have been petitioning the US government to, navigate the Strait of Hormuz and then escort ships through. But the United States isn't going to do that because the United States doesn't want the ships to get hit by ballistic missiles. Because also, more and more as time goes by, the radar capabilities of this area of the world are diminished and leaves our ships open to being hit by these attacks. All of this being said, it's going to get worse before it gets better, folks.
Their minds are like magnets. Put them at the bottom of the sea and boom, no magnets.
Hey, did we ever figure out how magnets work? Was that, the tide goes in, tide goes out. Can't explain that. Also, Sake Tanuki, thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. And now we get to maybe what I think is maybe one of the most infuriating parts of this entire conflict right now. I mean, there are so many, but like this really made me mad. Trump administration underestimated Iran war's impact on the Strait of Hormuz. And like, how did you overlook literally the number one thing that every military analyst and strategist over the last 50 years has talked about Iran being able to do? If you look at a map you might be able to figure it out. But it gets worse, right? Because let's just go through this here a little bit. While key officials from the Departments of Energy and Treasury were present for some of the official planning meetings about the operation before it started, sources said, the agency analysis and forecasts that would be integral elements to the decision-making process in past administrations were secondary considerations. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Energy Secretary Chris Wright have been key players throughout the planning and execution stages of the conflict, the sources acknowledged. But Trump's preference on leaning on a tight circle of close advisors in his national security decision-making had the effect of sidelining interagency debate over the potential economic fallout if Iran were to respond to U.S.-Israeli strikes by closing the strait. This is just another quote from this piece that CNN put up. Former U.S. official who served in Republican and Democratic administrations said, planning around preventing this exact scenario, impossible it has long seemed, has been a bedrock principle of U.S. national security policy for decades. I am dumbfounded. Because again, anyone who knew anything about this would have said, don't do it, because Iran is going to do this. Right? They keep making gestures to say that the U.S. military is going to start escorting any of these oil tankers through. The U.S. military is not going to start escorting military tankers anytime soon. Not with the radar network.
Do you think our government
damaged.
will do a false flag soon to get Americans on board with this illegal and unpopular war? The Iran attacking Cali thing is Zeus.
I don't think the United States is going to do a false flag to get the United States on board with this, mostly because anything this administration does is so thoroughly incompetent that even if they tried to do a false flag, we'd figure it out almost immediately, you know? I don't think they are competent enough to be able to pull off a false flag successfully at any capacity that would be effective for their purpose. Also, let's not pretend that these people aren't already facing like severe legal consequences the second they are out of power. You know? Multiple current and former US officials told CNN that plans for any military action against Iran would account for the possibility of Iran closing the waterway. The US military has long maintained and updated plans to address Iranian military action in that critical corridor. And I just want to show you guys a chart that is in this CNN article here from the International Monetary Fund Port Watch. Traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. You can literally see it just dive off a fucking cliff. And that's where we are right now. And this is going to be where it stays for the foreseeable future. Because again, Iran doesn't need to constantly be using missiles, constantly be using rockets, constantly be doing anything. All they have to do is maintain the idea that it is a dangerous thing to send ships through the Strait of Hormuz. That's all they got to do, which doesn't mean playing their whole hand all the time. What it does mean is they just have to make sure that they are attacking these ships regularly if they try and get through the strait. And this is going to be, especially for risk-averse things like international shipping, one of the famously most risk-averse industries. When you're shipping thousands of tons across the ocean, you want to be pretty sure those shipments are safe. This is going to result in in the damage that Iran is looking to do, right? And as time goes on, and as more of these stories get out there, international support for the United States and Israel is going to plummet. And it wasn't very high before under Donald Trump. Let's be very clear about that. But the people who are going to blame the closing of the Strait of Hormuz on Iran, as time goes by, that number is going to switch over to blaming the United States. And to a degree, this has already happened in a lot of cases, especially among some of the Gulf states that are being directly affected by the strait's closure, right? Yeah, and it's not just oil, it's also natural gas, it's also fertilizer, it's stuff that people rely on for the basic building blocks of a functional economy, you know? It's already reshaping the international order. It is. Every day that Donald Trump and his administration remains in power is another day closer to the United States being like a perpetual pariah. Also, CNBC published this today. Pete Hegseth on Strait of Hormuz. Don't need to worry about it. Just don't worry about it, guys. Just don't worry about a thing. It's all good. It's all good, baby dog. It's all good. Oh, God.
As we often do here at the Department of War, with the bottom line up front for the world to hear and the press to actually admit that the United States is decimating the radical Iranian regime's military in a way the world has never seen before.
I just want to if Iran's military was actually decimated, I do want to just make clear they'd still have over 1 million soldiers left to field, like well over 1 million soldiers. Like, they're a country of like 100 million people, or 90 million some odd people. Like, their military is huge. And just as an FYI, not great.
Never before has a modern, capable military, which Iran used to have, been so quickly destroyed and made combat ineffective, devastated. We said it would not be a fair fight, and it has.
Yeah, they've been rendered so ineffective that they are still successfully closing the Strait of Hormuz. They're militarily destroyed, but they are, somehow, I guess, with their civilian forces closing the Strait of Hormuz.
Not been. As I stated during our first press conference on day 2, that was 10 short days ago, the combination of the world's 2 most powerful air forces is unprecedented and unbeatable. Between our air force and that of the Israelis, over 15,000 enemy targets have been struck. That's well over 1,000 a day. No other combination of countries in the world can do that. So today, as we speak, we fly over the top of Iran and Tehran. Fighters and bombers all day, picking targets as they choose. As our intelligence gets better and better and more refined.
What if an elementary school decided to do a production of Patton?
Then I think it would look almost exactly like this. So just to be very clear here, like 15,000 does sound like a lot, right? But I want to show you guys a size comparison here with how big Iran is compared to, say, the United States. So Iran, as you can see here in this image, is fucking colossal. It is also built geologically like a fortress. The idea that like even hitting, 15,000 different targets, there's still so much area in that. The idea that you have stopped them from being able to function militarily, you haven't been able to even stop them from functioning bureaucratically. Like, it's just bullshit.
Looking up, the IRGC and Iranian regime sees only 2 things on the side of aircraft: the Stars and Stripes and the Star of David. The evil regime's worst nightmare.
There's a reason Iran is the graveyard of empires. It's definitely part of the graveyard of empires quote. Iran has over 40,000 individual mountains. Is a very good point to make
Iran
at this
has
juncture.
over 40,000 individual mountains, Lamau.
Indeed.
Iran has no air defenses. Iran has no air force. Iran has no navy. Their missiles, their missile launchers, and drones being destroyed or shot out of the sky. Their missile volume is down 90%. Their one-way attack drones yesterday, down 95%. And as the world is seeing, they are exercising sheer desperation in the Straits of Hormuz. Something we're dealing with. We have been dealing with it, and don't need to worry about it. We're on plan.
Don't need to worry about it. Just sail through the Strait of Hormuz. Just sail through it. Nothing bad will happen. Ignore the 16 oil tankers that have been hit. Just sail through it.
To defeat, destroy, disable all of their meaningful military capabilities at a pace the world has never seen before.
Wowee. Everything's definitely going great there.
We have full team.
No, we're good. The U.S. has a great track record of mountain invasions. It's true. Think of how fast we were able to stop the Taliban. Famously, the United States destroyed and completely wiped out the Taliban and ISIS. Oh wait, we didn't? Oh, strange. You're the reason why I can't be a Democrat? That's okay. That's fine. Not everyone can be smart. You know, sometimes you just gotta fail out, you know? It's okay. Also, I'm not a Democrat. Just for the record, not a Democrat. I'm a socialist. Very different things. You have zero military knowledge? I have enough military knowledge to know that you should trust military commanders who've been building battle plans for like the last century about this exact type of invasion and attack. I don't know. I have enough military knowledge to know that in the event of Iran being attacked, the number one thing they were going to do is exactly this. So I guess I have more military knowledge than Donald Trump's national security team. Oh, retired Navy here. Riverboat Jack has more military knowledge than you do, chatter. Thank you. Thank you for backing me up. Let's take another look at that briefing that Pete Hegseth was giving, by the way. You know, just don't worry about it. It'll all be fine. Famously great things to say when you're a military commander, in charge of a war effort. Just don't worry about the war effort. It's all good. Just chill, baby doll. Let's see what Pete had to say about this particular issue.
Barely communicate, let alone coordinate. They're confused, and we know it. Our response, we will keep pressing, we will keep pushing, keep advancing, no quarter, no mercy for our enemies. They can.
Well, that's an interesting communication from the head of the Department of War for a couple of different reasons, but notably this one, which is from the Department of Defense's Manual for Military Commissions in the U.S. government. Oh, denying quarter. Any person subject to this chapter who, with effective command or control over subordinate groups, declares, orders, or otherwise indicates to those groups that there shall be no survivors or surrender accepted, with the intent to threaten an adversary or to conduct hostilities such that there would be no survivors or surrender accepted, i.e., no quarter, denying quarter, shall be punished as a military commission under this chapter may direct. The accused declared, ordered, or otherwise indicated that there shall be no survivors or surrender accepted. The accused thereby intended to threaten an adversary or to conduct hostilities such that there would be no survivors or surrender accepted. It was foreseeable that circumstances would be such that a practicable and reasonable ability to accept surrender would exist. The accused was in position of effective command or control over the subordinate forces to which the declaration or order was directed, and the conduct took place in the context of and was associated with hostilities. Maximum punishment, confinement for life. I will also add that committing war crimes under U.S. law, if you are found guilty of doing those, comes with life in prison or the death penalty as possible, punishments that can be doled out in your sentencing. So, all that being said, what he's saying here is an intent to do war crimes in Iran. He's just out there saying that he has that intention and that the US forces should also have that intention. Okay? But I will say, I do think that when Democrats have control over Congress and the White House again, legislation has to be passed to give Congress veto authority over pardons. And I think that those should also be retroactive, i.e., Congress should be able to veto a pardon done in the past. And I think that every single one of these clowns, if they think they can get away with their law breaking, needs to be held in a court of law in front of their peers. Like, there's already such a long list of things that we need to do in order to get this country back on track. But that's one of the things that needs to be added to the list, you know? Presidents should not be able to pardon war crimes. Just full stop, you know? They need to be held accountable one way or another. I mean, the issue is, again, any kind of future in this country that brings about like a better world for all of us needs to be built on a foundation of accountability. There needs to be legal consequences for the people who have been, you know, throwing us into wars, who have been, defrauding the American people, stealing this tax money, giving it to, you know, the unworthy, the nepotistic children and relatives of their own interests. Like, it needs to be accountable. Are they telling soldiers to do war crimes? If the Secretary of War says on a stage, no quarter shall be given, that is an open declaration of saying, do war crimes to all the troops that serve underneath him. That is a war crime. It is a war crime to deny quarter. In a similar way, it was a war crime for the United States to bomb an Iranian ship, or torpedo an Iranian ship, and then not render aid to the survivors after the ship was sunk. These are war crimes. Just full stop. Did you hear the olive branch was removed from the dime? No, but it doesn't surprise me. What's quarter? Quarter is the acceptance of surrender. So, like, to give your enemies no quarter is to kill every single one of them. To deny quarter is to say you are going to kill all of your enemies regardless of whether or not they're armed or surrendering, etc. No mercy, as it were. But by the rules and laws of war, you are supposed to accept surrender. You are not supposed to just slaughter everyone indiscriminately. But it looks like Donald Trump is only capable of doing one thing, which is pushing the button to stir up more violence. And as of today, more Marines and warships are being sent to the Middle East. Cool stuff.
I'd still prefer that than forced quartering. No one needs to subject themselves to that much, Jeremy.
True. No violations of this amendment. So, yeah, Donald Trump is doubling down here. We're sending 2,500 Marines to the region, joining more than 50,000 American troops in the region. And, I imagine that there is, again, I don't have to imagine. The reporting is that Donald Trump is very eager to put boots on the ground in Iran. And I imagine building up more troops is going towards that particular purpose. Because again, Donald Trump has surrounded himself with a bunch of yes men. And the idea that is currently being yes manned to Donald Trump is, well, all Iran needs is a little push, and they will embrace a huge popular revolution against the Iranian government. And Donald Trump's conception of this is sending in a relatively small force to try and stir up that uprising. And everything that we are seeing from a logistical point of view, like this deployment, indicates that that is what he is going to try to do. And that's really, really scary. Because if that happens, it's not going to go well. Like, what's gonna happen is that Iran's military is going to slaughter US troops on the ground. Those poor bastards are going to get captured. Maybe. I would say that I don't think you need 75 or 52,500 troops to occupy Karg Island. So my guess is that they are building up forces to do something else. Too late for a popular revolution? Well, exactly, Robert Adsat. Like, the window for that is gone. Like, Iran killed the people who were leading the previous popular uprising in Iran, a few months ago. And any hope of that happening right now has effectively been killed by the fact that the United States and Israel are just conducting mass bombing campaigns. Who the fuck is going to step outside and say, I'm joining the Americans and the Israelis? Right now, when anyone that looks remotely like militarized is like a target for bombing or drone strikes, etc. And on top of that, like, there's like, who's going to do that? Who in Iran is going to step up and ally themselves with the Israelis? Like, the upcoming generation of Iranians has basically been living with this idea that America is the great Satan through the entirety of their lives, and they were just beginning to doubt that. And then Donald Trump happened and started bombing their country, not once, but twice. This is gonna go really poorly. You've killed any kind of popular sentiment that you might rely on. Anyway, let's just take a quick look. How do things stand? Is Donald Trump going to leave anytime soon? Let's find out.
And I had to take an excursion. We had the greatest economy in history. We still do. Oh, this will bounce right back. When it's over, and I don't think it's going to be long, when it's over, this is going to bounce right back so fast.
When are you going to know when it's over?
When I feel it.
Okay.
I feel it in my bones.
Will you ask anybody in particular? Would that be some of these a joint decision?
Well, I deal with people. I have great people. You know? I have General Raisin Kane. I have Pete. Pete's turned out to be a star. Marco's great. JD. I've got all good people. We've got a great group.
So let's talk about if I can.
I just
do. Oh, this will bounce right back. When it's over, and I don't think it's going to be long. When it's over, this is going to bounce right back. So fast.
When are you going to know when it's over?
When I feel it.
Like, my entire life, the sexist reason that has been given to me when about why, like, women can't be president is because they'd make too many decisions on the national level based on their feelings. Donald Trump will just straight up say, I don't really feel like ending this war that I started, and is now backfiring horribly. It's the least popular war that America has ever fought. Just let that sink in for a minute. It is the least popular war America has ever fought. People here in America hate this war more than any other war that has been fought by America ever. And, but he'll, there's no clear war goal. It'll just end when he feels like it, guys. It's just fucking vibes. And that, I'm sorry, what's happening right now with a lot of folks, including some Republicans, and again, there are a not insignificant number of Republicans that hate this war as well. What's happening is Wile E. Coyote running off the cliff and suddenly looking down and seeing that there's no more, land underneath him. And then it starts to fall. And that's where we are right now when it comes to the Iran war. And, the issue is there's no off-ramp here, and I don't know where this ends. I don't know, well, the only place this ends really is in an incredible amount of unnecessary bloodshed. And my guess is that there are a lot of American troops that are going to die in the near future, and a whole lot more Iranian civilians that are going to die in the near future. So it's no one is going to win in this conflict, but Iran's chokehold on the global economy is perhaps going to achieve their one goal, which is to avoid getting invaded like this in the future. So with that being said, let me know what you think. about all this going on, leave a comment, hit the like button, subscribe. And folks, get involved. We need people to be organizing right now against what is happening. We need people to be organizing in the Democratic Party. We need people to be organizing in their local DSAs or their Working Families Party. We need folks organizing with whoever you feel comfortable organizing with in order to achieve, greater political outcomes. Because we need to kick out these corporatist Democrats that support this war. We need to kick out these Republicans that support this war. We need to build up enough political power to actually put a stop to the evil and, frankly, the leeching that is going on right now within our political system. And, for far too long, the Democratic Party, for example, has supported a consultant class that is entirely self-interested and is destroying our political system little by little every year. So all that being said, folks, if you need help getting involved with your local Dems to make them more progressive, join our Discord, reach out to Dragonfly. If you want to make your DSA more effective, join our Discord, reach out to Gamergy. And if you don't want to join the Discord, you can go over to riverboat.gg over here and find them in this chat most days when I'm streaming. So all that being said, folks, let's keep on going. Oh, and check out ImogeneOlivia.com. Gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes. Link down below. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, being and plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.